So if you want to add in, this is what you have to do. You need to add in file path. That's the thing. That's something which you need to do. But if you want to add in the file path here, you have to actually define it before, because if you are defining it here, then it will not get the context of what exactly that is unless and until you define it. So we are actually going to define it with a specific with that specific image path or the file path. So now we are going to define it. This is how you define it. I'm going to write this as upload image path, and I will be bringing in this specific function. Instance is used when this specific thing is being defined at that specific instance. This specific code should be running. So we are going to write file name as well, because we are going to take in the file name, and we are going to, for that specific instance, we are going to actually print it. So this is something which you need to know. So here, let's get started. First, new file name. I'm going to write this as a new file name. By the way, why we are doing this? We can just write this file field and just close it out by writing null and false equals blanks. But then again, the problem with that is we will not be creating a robust solution for it. So for me to create a robust solution in which the file name should not consist of any spaces, in which the file name, if it's the same name existing, then it should not be overwriting them, but rather it should be creating its own random numbers to it, and it should be uploading it. So we have, for this specific instance, we are using this specific code. So we are going to name our new file name, and we are going to do in this way. So I will be writing a new file name, and the new file name would be random, and I'm going to bring in the random integer which we have imported here. So for that reason, we are going to import random int. So but here we can't use random completely, so we have to use rand int, and then we are going to give the number from this specific number to that specific number. I'm just going to give any specific number I want, like this. So between 1 to these numbers, any random integer it might take in and give the new file name. Now this new file name is given. What should be added with this file name? Now we are going to define it for name and extensions. So for name and extensions, we are going to preserve the extension, and we are just going to change the name. So for that reason, we are going to do this. We are going to select get file name, and I'm going to take the extension of the file name, and we are going to give it into the file name. So if you remember, what we are actually doing here is we are going to get the file name extension from the file name, and we are going to give this a random integer from here, just so that we can we can rename the file. Now whatever we do, we get all these things considered here in this. We won't be getting, okay, I think there is a small error. Let me just clear this out. Okay. So when you are taking this specific name, you are going to add this into your file name. When you do this, the file name will be changed in here, but it will not be changed in reality. If you want this to be changing in reality, you have to give the file name for the file. You are going to give the file name for your file by this specific thing. You are going to write down this specific line of code to give the file name for your file. And then you are going to write equals, open quotation. Now here you are going to give, these are the two things which you have created recently. Now these two things which you have newly created, you will be adding it into the file path. You are actually naming the file. So this is how you will be naming the file. This defines that will take that snippet and it will add this inside. That would be new file name. This is something which we have given. So it takes in the new file name, and it also adds in, I also want to add in extension to it. So this is the new file name. This is going to be my new file name. And I'm going to use this specific file name with a format. So for doing so, I will be using format so that they don't get jumbled up. Extension shouldn't come first, file name shouldn't come first, because while rendering it might come so. So for that reason, we are going to format it. So I'm using the format, and I will be naming this as new file name should be equal to this new file name. This is something which I should write. And let me just write this here, new file name. And the extension, I will be giving it as extension equals extension. So this is the extension which I want to give. this this is something which was totally bonkers. This is something which might get really tricky here. So this is nothing but you are actually defining a new file name by taking in the random integer. So it takes the random integer and it puts in the new file name. It takes the name of the file and it does all this. That's what it actually means, these two lines of code. Then the final file name code is being taken here with the new file name and extension attached. The format, we are defining it. This is what the format should be. And then finally, when all this happens, it happens in here. I want to return this into my into my image. That's what here. So for that reason, I will be returning it. So you just go ahead and go with return, and you are going to return in that specific folder which you have defined. Now this specific folder is products, the app itself. So I will be defining it in here in the products app. And in the products, I will be giving the extension of the file name in this way. So first comes the products, and then it should be coming in as specific file name. But the problem is that if I do so, then I might not be getting the date-based conversion. Like for every different days, different folders must be created, and for different situations, different folders must be created. For different products, different for different products, different folders should be created for adding in images. You don't want to create one folder in which you are stacking all the product images in one. You are creating for hat, you are going to create a hat folder. Inside hat folder, you're going to have multiple photos of hat. This is something which you are doing. So for that reason, you are going to take this new file name and you are going to give the extension like this. And I will be just adding the same thing, file name extension. So this is about nearly done. So we don't need the extensions in our I believe we don't need the extension in our URL, because then again it would look just obnoxious. Nobody gives in the list, it doesn't give like hat /hat png, doesn't give the name for that. So we'll just keep it in this way. So this is what we have done. After this, we are going to define the format for returning the product. So for defining the format, this is what you have to do, dot format to get the format of it. And I'm going to use my open and close bracket. Now I have to define few of the things. In here, I have to define the new file name and final file name for returning it. So new file name and final file name, just so that I don't get any confusion in here, I'm going to write new file name equals new file name. That's the same thing. And final extension or the final file name will be equals to final file name, which is here. Alright, so that's about done. I'm going to press Ctrl S to save it. I don't need this. So that's about done. So we have created this specific path. We have added the path of uploading it. So this is the path which we want. So in the products file name, this is where we want the products to be returning. So once it's defined, I'm going to add this in here. So I'm going to add it in here by writing this upload to, and we are going to upload this to upload image path. This is what we have defined above. So once we are uploading this to image file above, I'll just press Ctrl S to save it. And let me just see if I happen to miss anything. Okay, I think yeah, that's just about fine. Now once it's done, you can also observe that we have given, we are going to get the file name extension for that specific file. So whenever we want to give that specific file extension, we have to define it separately, because this is not something which is going to return it by itself. So what I have done here is we are going to get the file name, which is extension of the file name, and we are going to give this as a file name. But what is the file name? What are we defining actually? That's the question. So for doing this, we are going to define that specific file name phase inside here, just so that we can get this value done. So for getting this is what you have to do. You're going to define get file name. This is what you are going to define now, just so that you can get it from the base directory. You are going to get this from the base directory. So that's what you have to do. And now instead of going with the file name, I'm going with file path. Why? Because from the file path, I'm going to get the base name. So for the base name, this is what I'm going to do now. I'm taking the base name of the file from the operating system, and then we are going to change it. This is what we are actually going to do. So I'm going to take the base name, and from the base name, I'm going to write from OS underscore path. That means from OS inside path, we are going to take the base name, and we are going to give this base name as our file path. So this is first thing which we need to do, and I need to direct the name and extension of these files in with taking OS and path, and we are going to split the text between the first name and the last name. That means we are taking the name and we are going to change the name and extension, because we don't want the extension also to be giving a random number, because that would be unreadable. Because of that reason, we are going to separate the name and extension from this. So how do we do this is by writing split text, and then we are going to write base underscore name. So we are going to take the base name and we are going to split it in this specific way. Now just return the name and extension. Alright, that's about it. So once we have done this, we have created this robust solution that if the file name might consist of spaces, it would rule out. If the file name exists, if the file name exists, then it would, rather than overwriting, it gives a random integer and it would not overwrite. It would define by the classification of the file in this specific way. So we have done this complete robust, so we have actually created this complete robust solution of our of this specific product, or of this specific module, app module we can say. So once this is done, once everything is defined in here, alright, so looks just about fine. So now I will be saving this, and let me just open up my terminal and start executing the code. So for that, I will first do make migrations, remember. So I will make migrations here. So python manage.py make migrations. All right, so we have some issue here. Upload image path, file name, instance and file name. Oh, of course, I didn't do the semicolon. All right, make migrations. And you can see that the products module has been created. The initial migration has started. Now I'll just write migrate. And there you go. We have actually created our migration completed. So once we have done our migrations and everything, we are going to just run the server. All right, and I'm just going to take this, and let me just open up my Microsoft Edge and just try to paste it here. Now, if I just go to /products, you can't see anything because we have reset the whole database, if you remember. I also happen to create a new super user now. So for that reason, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna create a new super user. Create super user, and I'm gonna name this as Matt. Name, email, just nothing, just I'm gonna type my password. Run server again. And when I go to admin section here, what do you do? Inside your products, you're gonna add a product, and in here you're gonna have this image section in which you can upload the image. Now let me just give you an example for this. I will go with t-shirt, and let me download the t-shirt here. We can have lots of t-shirts images. We'll just take any one here. Let's take this product for instance. This is actually too big. We're gonna take a smaller one. This is fine. So I'm gonna select save image as, and click blue t-shirt, and I'm gonna save it. So it's saved. Once it's saved, I'm just gonna drag and drop it in our choose file in here, and then I'll just click save and continue editing. All right, this field is required. Okay, new shirt. This is what we have done, and let me just set this to 39.99. Select choose field. You can also choose from here, or you can just directly drag and drop it like this. Save and continue. And okay, we happen to get this error. Okay, let's check this out. From the product ad, we don't have the base name. That's what it's saying. let's see, what base name did we, okay, fine, base underscore name, that's the issue. Let me just refresh it and let me add it. Okay, so this was the issue, base underscore name should not be there, it should be just base name. Okay, so once it's done, you're gonna see that 39.99, a new product has been there, save and continue, it's being added, and then I'll just go back in here in the product section and you can see the t-shirt. Now the same t-shirt can be viewed from here with, let me just open this up and let me go to products. So in your products you happen to have t-shirt. Now if I just go to one, this is what it looks like, but there is no image of the t-shirt here. However, that is because we haven't given it in the detail view. Remember that this is a detail view. So for giving it into detail view, this is what I have to do. I have to go to detail.html. If you remember that this is what we have created in our previous class. And in here, I'm just gonna import the image src, that's what you have to do. And you are going to import that specific context in here. Remember the context. If you remember the context, it's it's going to be, the context would be from the object.image, because this is what we have done in previous thing. We are going to give object title to bring in the title of the product, object description to bring in the description of the product, object price to bring in the object price. So I'm just going to take this Control C to copy it. I'm just going to add this in here, but instead of price, I'm going to write image. And we are going to also give a class to it so that it becomes fluid now. So img dash fluid. So this is the just class of the image. Alright, once it's done, we're gonna save this, Control S to save, and we'll just go back and let's just refresh it. And you will see that the image comes, but you can't see the image. Why is that so? Because you won't be able to see the image unless and until you give this to the path URL. If I just go with inspecting, alright, if I just click here, you can see that what exactly is happening in here. Okay, so this is what it is. It says that it takes in the img src and it's just bringing in this specific code. It doesn't allow me to add anything. You can see that name, it's not given. Alright, img image fluid 16 by 16, it's showing me there, but it's not allowing me to show the image itself. That is happening because it's not taking as the URL. You can see that it's just taking the file names. It's not taking as the URL. So for that reason, what we're going to do is we're going to just type .url in here to say that it's coming from /media and then products. If you don't add this .url, what exactly is .url? This is your .url. .url is /media. If you don't add this in your detail view, then it might not come. So this is something which you have. So we have created this robust, we have created this product uploading system in which it takes in a random integer, it gives a random integer product, and for this specific product you can, for this specific product you can also add it. You can change the product image here. Let me just add one more image. Okay, let me go with this one, Fox image. Save and continue, and there you go. We happen to have a new name for that specific product, and when we go here and refresh it, you're gonna find a new image here. So I think this is not looking good, so let me just change this back. And so how do you clear it? That's the question. If you want to clear it, you can just click, okay, that downloads the file, just click choose file image. You can just replace it if you like. Save and continue, and just refresh to see the image. So this is how we have created it. We have created a robust uploading system in which we are actually able to import the image. Now one more just a quick tip for you all to see. Whenever you're uploading this as a file field, you won't be getting any kind of errors, but you are getting, if you are trying to write this as an image field, however, you will get into an errors. Why? Because file field will allow you to add any file you like for instance, if I want to add a PDF, at this example I'll just take the PDF for instance. If I just click choose file and then I just go with a PDF, let me go with PDFs here. Okay, I'll just take one PDF in here, and when I click open, you see that PDF is coming, and when I click save and continue, PDF is also getting uploaded. I don't want the PDF to be getting uploaded. That's the issue which we usually face. So in order to remove that, this is what you are actually going to do. You will be selecting the file, and instead of file field, you are going to write image field. But the image field, whenever you are doing so, now you see what happens. I'll be breaking this, Control C to break, and I'm going to make migrations here, make migrations, and just migrate again, run server. Now you may not come across this issue. You will again come across one issue, that is you are not able to migrate it properly. Now that migration will not be done properly if you don't add the null equals true and your blank equals true. Why I'm writing this is because if you write this, it will, even though you don't upload an image, for some products like virtual products, if you are not uploading the images, then too it's fine, it will still take in. It will still take in rather than giving you an error. So for this reason, we are just adding null and blank as well. And instead of field, I'm going to write image. If you get an error, however, if you get an error, you will be going to do pip install pillow. This is something which you will be doing. I have already installed pillow, that's why it shows that it's already installed. But for your case, if you write image, if you are changing this field to image, then if you don't write pillow, if you don't install pillow, then it will not allow you to add this specific line of code. Then again, if you run into any issue, remember just to remove the just don't delete this init.py. Apart from this, whatever you see in the PyCache, remove everything, and then go down, delete the DB SQLite. Remember, don't delete anything else apart from the DB SQLite, and then just go ahead and type make migrations, and then migrate, and then run server. That's about it. So this is what we have done now. So let me just open this back, and now let's see if we can add any PDF. You can see that you can see upload a valid image. The file you uploaded was either not an image or a corrupted image. So it will show you this error if you want to give. If you want to add this a file, like for instance, if you want to give this as a file extension, you can still give it without any problem. In here, you can still give it. Like for instance, you just need to change this specific thing in here. You just need to add in a file field like this, alright? File field, and you just need to add this in here. Models.file field, and you're gonna just write upload to equals, and we're gonna write upload file path, and we're gonna just copy this, define file path, and we're gonna just write this down in here. Instead of image, we're gonna write file. Just change this, that's it. The rest all, everything will remain the same. Everything will remain the same, nothing else. So just you need to just add this up in here, that's all. But for file path, that is something which we'll be experimenting in, hopefully in the future, not now, because then again it would again create a lot of issues while you are debugging the code. So don't do this right now, just go with file, image, and everything else, and that's about it. So once it's done, you will be having a robust you will be having this robust situation in which you can upload any image you like in here. Let me just go with pictures and upload any image. I'll take this one. As it's a PNG image, it will eventually take in. So this is something which you want to learn. So that's about it, my dear students. We have created a robust uploading solution for any files apart from image. For file system, I will come to the same point in here in later on.